Hey, this is Andrew, Trails Coordinator for the Adirondack Mountain Club. Today we are building better trails. After digging into sustainable trail design last week, I wanted to talk a bit about how they are planned. Let's lay the groundwork. Sustainable trails are well-built trails, and to build a trail well, we need to plan carefully to ensure it effectively survives storms, erosion, and foot traffic. One of the most difficult aspects of planning a trail is the innumerable options that a person has available to decide exactly where it should be placed. It can be immensely overwhelming. To overcome this, it's critically important to narrow your options before even stepping foot in the woods. Here are the 5 steps that I follow when planning to rebuild or reroute a pre-existing trail using sustainable trail design. 1. Know your audience. Trails are built for people to use, so it's important to know who this trail will most likely serve. This starts with a conversation with the land manager, which in our case is the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. They will have a very acute knowledge of how many people are using the trail, if the trail is seeing an uptake in use, and what types of users are accessing the trail. Of these factors, the volume of users in a given year is one of the most important pieces of information to gather. This helps to determine what features a trail needs to remain sustainable. Catterskill Falls, for example, sees tens of thousands of hikers a year and requires rock staircases to effectively handle use in a steep, wet environment. On the opposite extreme, we have areas like the Pigeon Lake Wilderness, which may see only a few dozen hikers a year, thus requiring a minimal infrastructure. 2. Research the landscape. We need to understand the place where we are working. This means knowing any state-directed protections that are in place. A wilderness area will have a significantly more strict requirement than, say, a state park. This gives us information about what types of structures or applications are off limits, like paved roads or steel bridges. It also lets us know if we can use mechanized equipment. It is also important to delve into the history of the area to understand how the land was used in the past. Was it important to Native Americans? Was it ever used for industries like logging and mining? This will help you determine what natural and cultural features you'll highlight or avoid, as well as what educational opportunities might exist to benefit the user's experience. I also use this time to break out a topo map. This helps me cross off regions that are non-starters like swamps, cliffs, and so on. It also shows you areas that may be worth exploring like waterfalls, ponds, and lakes, and vistas. All of these steps in the planning phase should really give you a good idea of what kind of trail we need to install, how much infrastructure is needed, and a broad idea of where the trail should be laid out. 3. Get out there and explore. I give myself at least 2 exploratory visits to the future work site just to take in the landscape. From the trailhead, I'll head in the general direction of the destination, but try not to lock myself into a particular route until I've had time to explore and see all the options available to me. This exploratory phase is a good time to check out some of those features that we saw on the topo map earlier. If they're cool, we may want to see how we can bring the trail to them. Likewise, if we run into areas that are not sustainable options, then we can mark them off so we know to avoid them. Along these lines, it's also important to take in the forest and soil types. If we're walking through a pine barren, how might those soils compact? What does a field of ferns in an area tell you about the moisture levels? All of these things are clues that should help us in the process of deciding the best trail location. 4. Outline your solutions. After this exploratory phase, we should have a general sense of where the trail should go. Now we can start to move from concept to reality by laying out flagging. Following the planned route, I lay flagging to determine the trail for my crews. I also take time to record all of the additional features that the trail will need, which will include bridges, drainages, and so on. 5. Communicate, communicate, communicate. All right, our vision is formed and our path has been defined. Now it's time to get the crew members in the field. In order to guarantee that this vision becomes reality, we need to ensure good training, communication, and feedback throughout the project. If we have a poorly trained or confused crew, it will show in the final product. I always give the crew leaders a thorough briefing of the project, which essentially involves walking them through steps 1 to 4 of this video. Everything that I discovered throughout the preparation period is important here. In order for them to be successful, they need to receive all of the pertinent information that I have gathered. If I gloss over this, it could upend everything. Direct oversight and management are key as well. I trust my crews to carry out the plan, but unforeseen challenges always come up. Sustainable trails are well-built ones, and a quality product relies on quality decision-making. From start to finish, the trail planning project relies on careful research and field operations to ensure that the path we forge is both ecologically viable and enjoyable for all those who are using it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more videos from ADK. Follow the links below and learn more about ADK, our vision for building better trails, and how you can help as a member, donor, and a volunteer.